You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast, here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Thad, and joining me as always is my co-host, Chrissie. How are you today?
Well, I'm looking for a universe-ending bomb that I created and thought I had destroyed, because somehow there's a way to destroy a universe-ending bomb without setting it off. But other than that, I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, too. I've decided that chaos is my friends with benefits, so...
Yes! That's a healthy attitude. That is a healthy attitude.
Also joining us today, because we are talking about a Star Trek movie, are the hosts of BQN's movie podcast, Cinema Z, Mark White and Matt Jennings. How are you gentlemen today?
Hi, I'm doing well. There's a little tiny alien man driving me today, so whatever comes out of my mouth, I can't be blamed.
Are you...
I knew it!
Is he forcing you to use a terrible accent?
Hey.
I have decided that I'm a bad bitch.
You're just deciding this now?
I've just decided in this moment that I am a bad bitch.
We knew this about you already, though. Yeah. Just saying.
Oh,
but you embrace it, you know? There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm embracing my bad bitchery.
Before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly associate producers Carl Wonders and Chrissie De Clerck-Szilagyi. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10. And your subscription of any amount at patreon.com/BQN keeps all of the shows on the network ad-free. We are not going to go over every little news story that's happened since the end of Lower Decks. There haven't been any major announcements. We do know that Academy Season 1 is wrapped up filming, and Season 2 will be starting this year. Strange New Worlds Season 4 is filming is starting soon, and Season 3 will be released at some point this year. We still don't know when.
Mm-hmm. Unless it was announced between when we recorded this and when we released it. In which case,
listeners, you probably already know anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this show, you probably got that announcement.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Paramount, to tide us over until Strange New Worlds, released the first streaming movie, Star Trek Section 31. Mark, what did you think of this?
Well, I have actually a similar take on this that I felt about a few films that I've seen this year that were like modern films. So I don't want to completely jump on and start throwing punches immediately, but I will say that a problem with, I think, Hollywood in general is maybe too many cooks in the kitchen, because there's a lot of ideas here that seem to be thrown into a blender and hit puree. So I feel like, for a really good script, and Matt and I just covered the I'm Not There, the previous Bob Dylan biopic, which also dropped this week on BQN. But yes, we covered that. And although there seemed to be a lot going on with that film, you have multiple actors playing Dylan. The plot for each sort of iteration of him was very condensed and streamlined and easy to sort of understand, right? Whereas here you have sort of one big story, but there's so much happening. It's like, okay, why did this need to happen? Why did that need to happen? Okay, why are we telling you about this now? What is going on with this? there was a whole lot of confusion. I didn't understand why certain choices were made, and that was my first impression of this film. Now, didn't hate it. I did not hate this film, but you're asking for first impressions, and my first impression was there was a lot happening.
Okay, Matt, what did you think?
Okay, so my thoughts are, after watching this, I think that there was just a lot happening. I think that this was definitely supposed to be a series, and it got truncated down, which, is no secret, but you can definitely tell that, to me, a lot was rushed. I think a lot of things were supposed to be fleshed out, and they weren't. And I'm not sure. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I'm not sure if that's due to the time constraints that they had. I don't know if they only had Michelle Yeoh for a very short amount of time. I don't know if they had other actors only for a very short amount of time. But I can definitely tell that things were abbreviated. And I think that the movie suffered because of the abbreviations. I can see where, had things had their time that they were meant to have to fully develop and become a full story, I think we would have had an interesting story. I do not think that this film was necessarily made entirely for, it wasn't, to be very honest. It was not made entirely for the 90s Trek fans. They were trying to pull new people in. That's how I'm going to finish that sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And I will expound. I have unsubstantiated things to expound upon with that.
I like how you put that.
Yeah, I have no one definitive proof one way or the other, but I have heard things. Chrissy, what did you think?
The first time I watched it, I repeatedly said, what? And what's happening? And why did they make that decision? And really didn't like it. When I watched it the second time, I liked it better, but I guess that's a low bar. It's, I can see what they were trying to do. And like you said, this is very obviously truncated. You could see where, I don't know why they didn't do this as a mini series instead of a movie. Because you could have taken each of the little chapters and done that, and we could have had like a 4-part miniseries or something like that. And I don't feel like that would have been as, well, I know nothing about production, but from my perspective of knowing nothing about production, I feel like that can't be that much more, other than time. A bunch of people that know better are going to tell me that's not the case, and I know that. But yeah, I don't. It's not as bad as I thought the first time. If you've only watched it once and you hated it, watch it again. I swear it will be better. I have some story issues, some serious story issues with this. Yeah, we'll get into it as we go. It's easier to just, as we're talking, I think. It's hard to put together like a whole, this is my thoughts on the whole thing. Because there were some things that I really liked. But they seemed out of place. So, yeah, that's where I'm ending that. Thad?
The first time I watched it, I didn't hate it, but it didn't feel like very much like Star Trek to me. It felt like a sci-fi action movie.
Yes.
And that was, I would say mediocre at best. The second time I watched it, I liked it a lot less.
Okay.
So now I think I don't know, hate is a strong word, but I very much dislike this, and I rewatched it a third time right before this recording, and my opinion didn't change from the second time. Now, what I have heard is that, yes, time was a huge factor. Michelle Yeoh, again, this is from what I heard, Michelle Yeoh had a specific window in which she could do this. So they were never going to do a mini-series because they didn't have that kind of time, and they didn't have that kind of money to pay Michelle Yeoh. Yeah. And beyond that, as you'll recall, when this movie was filmed, it was just after the WGA strike. So my understanding is that they did not have nearly as much time to write this as they wanted to, and as they had originally planned to. And because they had to film it within the specific window that would work for Michelle Yeoh, it effectively got filmed with a draft.
Oh, yeah, and that's what it feels like. When you say it like that, that's what it feels like.
And also, something that I think about in regards to time is that we've known that for at least 5 years, Section 31, the series, has been in development in some kind of way, right? And I don't know if this was something that was going on behind the scenes, but I noticed as soon as Michelle Yeoh got that Oscar, all of a sudden we saw Section 31 movie coming out. When I remember interview after interview, or at least a few interviews in the years before that, people would say, Michelle Yeoh, Section 31, the series, when is it happening? She's like, I'm pushing for it. I'm pushing for it. I'm pushing for it. And my thought is that they did not take her seriously until she got the Oscar. They didn't take her seriously until she got the Oscar.
I can see that.
And if that's the case, that is so unfair.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cash grab.
Yeah.
If that is the case, you had all of this time with someone who is incredibly talented way before they had that Oscar to develop this and make it a good show. You had the time, if that is the case.
Yeah.
But instead, you jumped on the fact that she had an Oscar and started to listen to her because all of a sudden, her having an Oscar made her more worthy than she was already worthy. And now the product suffers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. So what happened was they announced the show. They were going to make the show, but then there was this huge fan reaction to Anson Mount as Captain Pike, and they decided to make Strange New Worlds instead.
Yeah.
And then Section 31 was on the back burner and basically not happening at all until Michelle Yeoh won an Oscar and like, oh, we can capitalize on this, so we'll make that movie.
The thing that bothers me about that is that you have, and this is the way that I'm seeing it right now, I think that's just because everything that's happening right now, you have this person of color that is incredibly capable, you have this woman that is a person of color that is incredibly capable, and that would knock it out of the park had you given her the time of day to make the show that she wanted to make. But you jumped on the opportunity of this white man who is talented, and the character was great, obviously, and the show is doing great, but you jumped on that opportunity. You jumped on that right away. And we have been trying to get a Star Trek movie for how long now? Oh, it's been almost 10 years. It has been almost 10 years since we've had it.
It's been 9 years since the last movie, yeah.
Yeah, 2016. It's been almost 10 years. And Paramount, I know you need a hit. I'm sorry. I know you need a hit. And I know Star Trek is one of your properties. I know Star Trek is one of your money makers. I know you need a good movie.
They do need a good movie, but they didn't do that.
Yeah. It reminds me of what happened with Gare Wong, right? He was going to be written out, and then all of a
Yep.
sudden he was on the cover of some magazine, and they're like, "Oh, people like him. We'll not write him out after all." It's okay. Yeah. I think there is that factor of, oh, look, we have somebody established with us who now is like, this huge, huge star. I can't think of any. Is there anybody who's been on Trek who got that level of stardom? I'm, as a regular, not like, we're pulling in Malcolm McDowell to play a character once or something.
Well, Sir Patrick.
I feel like the closest is Patrick Stewart, but he doesn't have an Oscar.
Yeah, but no Oscar, and not the kind of immense star power that, like, she went. It seemed like she went from, not 0, but maybe 10 to 60 overnight.
I mean, I think that you had Whoopi and you had LeVar and Next Gen, and they were
were
the stars of Next. I mean, even though they weren't the lead, they were still the stars. They had the most.
Yeah.
But I feel like LeVar certainly was and Whoopi too. Like, they were already famous before they were on.
Yeah, very
TNG.
much so.
So, Michelle Yeoh certainly was. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, obviously.
Yeah.
So Michelle Yeoh was also well known before, but yeah, she's definitely like ballooned in popularity in the last 10 years.
And she was in James Bond.
Yes, she was.
Small film.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah. Well, okay. So she was. My parents get the AARP magazine, right? And because they are
RPs.
Yes. And she was on the cover last month or the month before, right? There is one sentence in the article about her being involved in Star Trek.
Of course there is, yeah.
And there's a half page of stills from the various movies she's in, nothing about Trek. And it's, I was kind of surprised at that, and not at the same time, I guess. I was at least surprised that there wasn't a still from Discovery. Like, even if they weren't going to talk about it a lot.
Yeah, and that I think that certainly sets her apart from, say, LeVar Burton, because if you had an article about LeVar Burton, it would have pictures from Star Trek. Whoopi Goldberg, probably not, actually, though. Whoopi Goldberg is also
but I mean,
more famous for not Star Trek.
You in danger, girl. It'd have like Ghost,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was interesting to see that.
But yeah, and then that's why I think, like, if we want to talk people that made it big after Star Trek, Patrick Stewart is probably the closest, but again, he is most well known for Star Trek by a country mile.
Yeah, and the next one up is Professor X.
So
it's not like it's far afield.
I want to start off with the very beginning of this movie and the moment that I checked out of this movie and wrote it off as not worth my time, but kept watching anyway.
I bet it was the same place I had a problem.
And that is that the Terran freaking Empire chooses their leader with a Hunger Games.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, no wonder it was so easy for the Alliance to destroy them. You know? Like, you look at what happened on DS9 and what you're like, oh, okay. If they're choosing their leaders that way, of course they got run over.
So, everything we know about the Terran Empire is that, they're constantly infighting, backstabbing, taking it one. How in any situation would someone who has would they elevate a teenager who just killed a bunch of people and is now weak from having killed a bunch of people to the role of the leader of the Empire? Because there would be so many other people that would be stronger than them and would be immediately nipped that in the bud. It makes no sense.
One general. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense, but at the same time, it does to me because the Empire, there's no common sense there. So I don't know. It doesn't, it, to me, it still makes sense. To me, I still buy it. I know that's wild.
I agree with Matt. It didn't take me out of it. I wasn't upset by that. That isn't the thing that bugged me.
They could have fixed that with one change. Well, it would have been 2 changes. Maybe not even. 1 change for sure. Make it all of the children of the current leader. If it had been a fight amongst just the family, or all the children and the cousins, or,
that would make more sense. Yes.
Sense. That would have made sense, and they could have done that with a line. Of course, then she wouldn't have had to go home and kill her family because, and if they had done that, they would have had to change who San was to take him out of the family or make him a distant cousin. But that wouldn't, okay, so it's 2 lines to change things. But to just, we randomly picked teenagers from all over the Empire in order to find out what was it, best exemplified being Terran. No. You know who best exemplifies being Terran? That general over there who gave her the crown. She probably has fought more battles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. I was hoping to find out that she was, and I know this is small universe syndrome and I don't care, that she was a descendant of Hoshi. That would have made sense. That's kind of been my headcanon the whole time.
I thought that we were going to have some kind of tie-in to Hoshi or to the emperors of before. I think that out of the scenes that I could tell were rushed, I think that is one of the scenes that took its time. There are a couple of others in the movie where they let it breathe.
Yeah.
And I could, in my mind, I was saying, okay, this is something that they didn't cut. This is a scene that they didn't cut. This is a scene that they thought worked or they absolutely needed to have for story. It didn't bother me. I think it sets up the story and it gives you hope that the rest of the movie is going to kind of go in that dramatic tone. It gave me hope.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I don't mean.
The Empire is not supposed to give you hope, but okay.
Okay.
But Star Trek is, so that works.
Yeah, so we learned that they did a Hunger Games, and the final task is that Giorgio had to kill her family. Because, the best way to really make your viewers get on the side of your protagonist is to show them murdering their family at the beginning of the movie. That's just A+ storytelling right there.
That actually made sense to me because the Emperor can have no family but the Empire.
It makes
there is
sense
a logic to that.
It makes sense in the Terran Empire thing. I think it's an odd choice for this movie.
It is, especially for a character that we are already so conflicted over. We already know she's done terrible things. We don't need to see more. Yeah.
Well, I think part of that is because they were hoping that this movie would take off among people who have never watched Star Trek.
Yeah.
So they had to do stuff like this to establish. And I hate to break it to you, Paramount, this movie is not going to take off among anyone, and certainly not people who've never watched Star Trek.
I understand them trying to reach out to other. Obviously, they need to get new viewers. Okay, we need more Trek fans, but do that alongside. You can do both.
They could do that by focusing on what makes Trek, like they did with Strange New Worlds.
Right.
Because when they did that, I don't know, they're successful. When they just get in the business of making Star Trek, which also I might add that they did with Lower Decks. They just kind of made Star Trek. And when they did that, people liked it. I don't know. Maybe keep doing that.
And then they went and canceled it.
Yeah. And then, which I will, I don't get. I don't get. I could go on a whole other thing about that.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
but I think my thing is, and I think this is it seems to be a problem when it comes to Star Trek and trying to get new audiences. I know that Star Trek makes people think. I know. And I know that the moment that the word think and thought comes into a movie, especially property, especially in the entertainment industry, I have a feeling that a lot of executives go, "Ooh, I don't know, thinking, oh, that's a bad idea." It's really not. If it is possible to entertain and be thought-provoking at the same time. And I'm sorry, that is why Star Trek got popular, is because it was thought-provoking and because it was risque.
Yeah.
That's why it got popular. They talked about civil rights issues when the civil rights was happening. That's risque. That was a risky choice. But people gravitated towards it because it was risque and it was taboo. And oh my God, I want to see what they're talking about. Even people who were racist were watching Star Trek and fell in love with Uhura. All this to say, because I'm going off on a tangent, all this to say that you could have made, had you had the time, had you taken the time, you could have made a thought-provoking story about Emperor Giorgio and the redemption, and it's still possible to have those questions being asked and being answered, and still make it entertaining and fun. You can have both. You really can.
It comes back to the first thing that you learn about Trek once you start looking into the background of it. It's too cerebral. Do it over. It's too cerebral. And we need to take that too cerebral and just embrace it. That's what makes it interesting. I mean, look,
I don't know.
55
Fly around
years
the
later,
pylons again, like we're in awe.
Okay, but you can have both. You can have both, okay? Yes.
No, I loved that. Like in Lower Decks, like that moment, like it is one of those things where, as a fan, you were just like, "Wow, they're really at Deep Space Nine," and we were kind of having that moment. So they let you have that moment. It was like the first time that they show the Enterprise on screen in a film. We go all the way back to the very first Star Trek film, and they have, that long time looking at the original Enterprise on screen as they're sort of going to the ship. But as a fan that fought really hard to keep it on the air and really, really hard to get the film made, that extra time for the fans was just like, everybody was just sort of, creaming their pants. It's like, wow, the Enterprise is on the big screen. So it was that kind of moment. And it was like, it's those moments, those little rewards that, the studio heads need to understand. It's like, maybe you're not, bringing in new people by these shots, but you're keeping your existing base and getting them really jazzed, and they're going to go out and tell their friends, and their friends are going to tell their friends that the film is awesome.
It seems like entertainment is what the powers that be at Paramount are focusing on and going towards. And if I look at other entertainment properties that are looked at purely as entertainment, but find some way to sneak in some vegetables as well. I mean, say what you will.
Are you saying this was a purely cotton candy film, Matt Jennings? Are you saying this was empty calories? I think that's what you're saying.
That's not a bad way to look at it.
It could have been more. But, there was, look, the Dark Knight franchise. I can look at the Dark Knight series of films and say that there was a good story that was told there, with it still being a superhero movie. The Dark Knight, great. The Matrix is one of my favorite movies.
100%.
That movie has all kinds of action, and it was still thought-provoking. You can do it there. If we're looking at series, if we're going to go to the far end, I look at all the time, because it surprised me when I saw it, was Falcon and Winter Soldier. That movie was about, or that miniseries was about as action as they come.
I thought you were going to go Sense8. Because there was Sense8 was another one that was action-packed, but, like, had a great story.
It was, but I'm thinking about in terms of intellectual properties and still finding a way to put in. Falcon and Winter Soldier addressed the Tuskegee experiment. They addressed the fact that a black man was taking on the mantle of Captain America and how white America was not pleased about it. I was surprised that that stuff was being dealt with in a superhero, often machismo-supported type of... I mean, do you know what I mean, though?
I know what you mean. I would counter, though, that like Star Trek, Marvel has always been that commentary.
Yes.
But I'm not taking away from them doing it now. I think it's, they need to do that now, but that's par for the course to me.
I guess it's just, you don't traditionally see it in superhero movies, I guess, in my opinion. So when something of that depth was addressed, I was shocked. But I say all that to say, dear Paramount, you really can have both. You can entertain and you can be thought-provoking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet.
Mm-hmm. Or you cannot. And you know what? If we do, like what Mark said, if this is brain candy, okay, then if we take it as that, then it's okay. Then it's fine. I was entertained for an hour and a half with some explosions. There wasn't I was expecting some nudity in the bar, but there wasn't. That's fine.
Well, it's because it was PG-13.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
In fact, there is that scene. There is that scene.
Oh no! Wait, that's right. There was the people they go into the room where they're
the first time I watched that, I thought they were establishing that Andorians have an anatomy like a Ken doll. But, and I'm not proud of this, but if you pause and look very closely at that scene, he is in fact wearing tight-fitting warm blue shorts.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah. All right, I forgot about that. So
what I would say on that is I have seen plenty of action movies that are basically mindless entertainment that are better than this. So, like, even if that is what you're going for, you could do it better.
Yeah. But if we try not to make it Trek, in our heads, if we try to just go like, okay, this is Trek adjacent, was how Jay described it.
And it's interesting. I remember years ago, before Discovery came out, I want to say it was right after Into Darkness and right before Star Trek Beyond came out. I swear I remember interviews about a Section 31 movie and what would that look like. There was talk about that. And then I remember
there was
another
discussion
article
about that.
And this was right before Beyond came out, Star Trek Beyond came out. I can't remember who it was that said this, but it was someone that was getting involved with the next Trek film. And they said, I look at Guardians of the Galaxy and I think, why can't Star Trek do that? So when I thought of those two things when I saw Section 31, I said, okay, some of this has kind of been brewing for a while. I mean, still, had they had more time, again, because it looks like this was supposed to have more time and be developed into something else. But it looks like maybe those elements were things that they were, like, I think Section 31 was always on their minds. The Guardians of the Galaxy element, I think, was also always on their minds as well.
That needed to be something they did with the Starfleet Academy show or with Lower Decks. Section 31 is too serious of a concept.
I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you that's what they were going for, and that's part of the problem.
And I think the Kelvin movies are a great example of how you can take Star Trek and make it an action movie, and it can be good.
Yeah. Had the time been taken from the beginning, from the very beginning. Time to take.
Yeah.
You know, that's a point too. I was saying what Trek stars have made it big overnight, right? What's his face? Thor. Right? Hemsworth?
Chris Hemsworth, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call him a Trek star because he's in that movie for 10 minutes, but yes.
But if they were going to do the fourth movie with him, like there had been the discussion.
Oh yeah, that would have cost.
Then that would have been the name to pull everything in.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they don't want to spend that money on a Trek budget. Well, that's how you're going to, if you want the big movie to bring in the big star, that's what you got to do. And it's not like, Chris Pine hit it pretty big after that. I don't know.
Zoe.
Was he big before that?
Zoe's.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest star out of all of them, I would say.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Carl Urban has also done very well.
Carl Urban, huge. Yeah. So they have people that, you know what? They have people that if they cared to work it out and pay them, they could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like they could have had Michelle Yeoh for longer if they had been willing to pay her more.
Yeah.
So, and I really can't, I really can't, what's the word I'm looking for? I fault them for that because they have the money. Okay. I know like things are not great with streaming and all of this, that, and the other, but we are talking about a major movie studio. Okay. They can find the money. Take it to, take a couple million off of one of the executives. And you can
never do that.
But that's a whole other issue. They're never going to do that. No, they'll fire janitors to find the money before they do that. But my point is, it's like they have the means. They just don't want to use it.
Yeah. All right. So now that we're 8 minutes into the movie, the next.
No, we're not going to go point by point.
No, we're not. But I will say the next part, we get a briefing from Control about what's happening here. And I will say, until the reveal at the end, I was positive that was Denise Crosby.
I thought it might have been Denise Crosby, too. It's funny, when you look at that intro, I was watching this with my boyfriend, and he used to work at Knott's Berry Farm, and he said, "Do you know what this is?" He says, "This is the introduction before you get on the theme park ride."
Yeah.
No, this movie
that's
is
the way to describe it.
Full of exposition. And I actually feel like they do a little too much of it. Not this, but then when they do all of when they meet when the crew get together and they go over their plan over and over. Anyway.
Yeah, it was a little redundant. I remember thinking you kind of I think what I thought was a little redundant was they introduced the characters twice. There's
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt and I have talked about this before on Cinema Z, but the importance of showing and not telling, and instead of just showing us and being done with it, they just told us and told us again. And we didn't need that.
Yeah. And I was like, why did that happen twice? Because we have the introduction where Michelle Yeoh is talking about the different characters. And she said, they're all over the bar, which I thought, okay, that works. That's a way to introduce them. She would obviously know who these people are. She's worked with Section 31. I get it. Okay. And then when we get to the Section 31 ship, they get introduced again. And why are they being introduced again when we already know? But maybe there was more story in that portion. I don't remember.
Maybe there was stuff that was lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I will make a minor complaint, which honestly, this is minor, because, star dates, there have always been inconsistencies with star dates in Star Trek.
Yep.
But the star date that they use here that starts with 1-2 would place this during season 1 of Discovery, which is not accurate.
Unless Rachel Garrett is really that old.
Yeah, she can't be. And assume, yes, because of Rachel Garrett, this places this movie in like the 23 10s or 2320s. It can't really be any other time.
Yeah.
Because the Enterprise C is destroyed in 2344.
Yeah.
So it has to be 20 or 30 years before that. It can't be any other thing.
At most.
At most 30, and I don't even think it's that.
Yeah.
My guess is it's in the 2320s, which I have problems with. The Terran Empire probably didn't exist in the 2320s.
Well, the remnants of Spock's attempt at democracy. Right. But the thing is that the 2320s is what we're seeing now, and that is where the Guardian dropped her from the future. So so the idea that the Terran Empire is in shambles actually makes sense, because San, who is somebody who would not, under normal circumstances, be in a position to try to take over.
I suppose that could
be. In that chaos, he could do that. That actually did make sense to me.
Okay.
And also you have that line about the guy that they interrogate, and he talks about how the Empire has started to tear itself apart. I think in regards to, and I know that this movie was not meant to be heavy on the Trek lore, but I think there was a way to kind of bring some of that stuff in without a non-fan being lost. Just little nods to, which I think if you really look, you can see some of the small nods to Star Trek history of that time. There are little L cars here and there.
The phasers and tricorders. I like the phaser is a nice sort of like mishmash of the TOS movie phaser and the early TNG phaser, and I like that. And the tricorders are like tablets like we've seen before, but they use the TNG tricorder noise.
Yeah, they've updated the tricorders. They just look like phones now. They've had to account for that.
Well, it's because they're actually using phones for the tricorders.
I think it's I think as someone that is trying to make their own stuff, and you just don't know what's going on behind the scenes, so try not to poo-poo on anybody. But yeah, that was a phone. I could tell that was a phone.
Yeah, it's just like in Picard, the tricorder, where the tricorders were just phones in cases.
Yeah, but even then, there was the flip action, which, it came open so it made sense to me. I was like, and it's all, yes, that makes sense. It's no longer buttons. We're in the 25th century now. It's a touch screen, but it still flips open like a tricorder from the 90s. And these were phones.
But that's just one of those Samsung phones that flips open, so
So, the other thing that the timeline doesn't make a lot of sense with, this is set 80 to 90 years after Discovery Season 1. San, if he's still alive, should look really old.
Well, time travel shenanigans. It is entirely possible that of course, I'm going to undermine the point I just made. It's possible that the passageway is time and universe.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I kind of wish that they had, just given us a throwaway line about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it can still line up with Chaos and the Empire because he could be doing this after, like, a couple of years after Spock tries to introduce his reforms.
Yeah, that's true.
It still would work. So that's the only way that I could.
And that would square the circle, but all they had to do was make a tiny little line of, and it goes back, this, like, she can say, but how are you so young or something? And he can say, oh, well, the rift is from this. Yeah.
Yep.
And they didn't do that. And that annoys me.
Yeah.
So what do we think of the Section 31 crew?
Well,
the one who was most interesting right off the bat. Well, maybe not most interesting, but like had the most potential to be Trek interesting. The Deltan.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the way I mean to. Because I actually think the most interesting is Quasi. Yeah.
I couldn't get over the Vulcan that wasn't Vulcan.
Oh, well, I couldn't get over the terrible accent.
Yes.
The Vulcan that wasn't really Vulcan, that had a little alien inside. Like, I like the concept, actually, of there being, like, an alien inside of, like, another... I thought that was cool. I thought it was, like, this is a kind of a cool new thing that they're trying. But why make it a Vulcan when Vulcans are supposed to be logical and blah, blah, blah? Like, it's kind of blowing your own cover. You're like, something's up with this dude.
Yeah.
And the Ponfar thing, it was layer on layer on layer when it didn't need to be. Just make him some other fucking alien that, can be goofy. I don't know.
He's outside the Federation. He can be a Romulan.
That's true.
They didn't have to do anything except make him a Romulan.
Yeah, and at this time they knew what Romulans looked like. So yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that would have been fine.
See, that would have been. It doesn't. It is so.
That character, but the character itself, like, in general, it could have been a Vulcan too. I just, like, and this isn't the actor's fault, but the character was just annoying AF and not cool and not somebody I'd ever want to see on screen again. Not the actor's fault. This isn't the actor. The actor can have a long, happy career. I hope he does. But this character was just so repugnant. Yes. I don't want to see that thing on screen again. And it had nothing to do with the actor. It was just fucking horrible. Sorry.
I agree.
I think
that said, I do blame the actor for that accent.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there were creative choices made probably in the director's chair. I want to throw the director under the bus.
Well, you can do that because he's got the spinnies.
Yeah.
So
it would be easy to throw him under the bus because he likes to do those spinning scenes. Yeah.
Everybody's dizzy. Yeah.
I mean, I will say, Olutunde Osunsomni did direct some good episodes of Discovery.
Yeah.
But Mark doesn't agree. But
I think that he was not the best choice to launch this film. But it's what they had.
Yeah. No, I think it's pretty clear that he wasn't the best choice to launch this film.
I don't know. I don't. Again, because of time, I don't know what you could have done.
Get Frakes. Just have Frakes do all of it. Just,
I mean, Frakes directed Sub Rosa.
Yeah, imagine what it could have been like if he hadn't been the one directing.
Good point, Chrissie. Good point.
I don't know if anyone could have, again, because of the time constraints and because of the writer's strike, there's some elements that I'm like, I don't know what would have saved this.
Yeah.
I could also imagine them asking Jonathan Frakes, him reading the script and saying, I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah, I can see that.
I just don't know what to do with that hot garbage.
Right.
Yep.
But, I don't know what you could have done with this to save it. There's just, I mean, again, had you taken the time years ago, you wouldn't be you wouldn't be in this situation had you taken the time.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about what happened with the writing of this show, the inside baseball there. So the original show that they never made was going to be run by Bo-yeon Kim and Erica Leopold, who wrote several very good episodes of Discovery.
Yep.
And then when the show didn't happen, they left. They moved on to other things. And now there's this that they have a story by credit on, but they didn't actually write any of it. And
well, the Han Solo movie. I mean, it's just kind of the same thing. It's like how many different hands were involved.
I actually liked the Han Solo movie.
Yeah, I did too.
I just think that Donald Glover was the only redeeming factor.
He was the best
film.
part for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I watch it for him because his performance in that was incredible. Like, he was, as soon as he was on screen, you just, believed in the character. But yeah.
Honestly, very quick thing to say. I think that if we were to make if Star Trek were to make its own Rogue One type of movie, obviously Yesterday's Enterprise was a great Next Generation episode, but if we could tell a story about the ill-fated crew of the Enterprise C right up to the point, how heartbreaking, how beautiful,
yes,
how great would that story be to watch this crew go out and
and that one could have Denise Crosby in it.
Yeah, and you end it with Tasha's execution and little Sela going off, and like I could picture in my head, her walking away from that hand in hand with her father.
That would have been epic.
Yeah.
How amazing would that story have? Oh my God! Just we get to see more backstory about Garrett and blah. Anyway, I think I was hoping that, and I say this to Star Trek fans with the hope that Paramount will do better. If we support this, we can get more down the road, and we can get something where hopefully Paramount actually takes the time to tell a good story, to tell a good long trek. If we support this one, just support this one.
I don't know. I have a feeling they'll be like, wow, they love this one. Let's do more like this.
So there are a couple people on social media who are saying basically, you guys need to stop complaining about Section 31 because they're not going to make more of them. And I'm sorry, I can't. I understand where you're coming from, but no.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also a difference between, because there are also plenty of people who are, saying, well, this is just proof that all new Star Trek is bad, and that's also not true. But yeah, I think we probably aren't going to get any more streaming movies anytime soon.
If we do, I'd put money on it right now. If we do, it's going to be a Lower Decks one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would be it would be something really safe like that, which I would love. Please.
Well, Strange New Worlds movie is not out of the realm of.
Well, probably not.
No, but I'm thinking of stuff that's not, still running.
Yeah. Strange New Worlds is probably going to get 5 seasons, so we're a ways away from that.
Here's hoping 5, 7, 10. I don't know. But the shows.
I would be shocked if any of the shows get more than 5 at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 might be the magic number now. That might be the 7, the new 7. That is the new 7.
5 is the new 7. All right.
Yeah.
But I would also be shocked if Strange New Worlds doesn't get at least 5. There's just no way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Something strange would have to happen.
Something strange and new?
I didn't even mean to do that.
But going back to the writers, Bo-yeon Kim on Bluesky posted that she was drinking. Yes, I will be drinking on the day that it comes out. She also, because I posted the day it came out that Nemesis was no longer my least favorite Star Trek movie, and Bo-Yeon Kim liked it.
Oh, that was hilarious, by the way.
That says a lot, doesn't it? That says a lot.
Yep. Yep.
So there's definitely some stuff going on the back. The original writers are certainly not happy about this.
No.
The screenplay was by Craig Sweeney, who has never written any other Star Trek. Oh no, I'm sorry. He did write the teleplay for Context is for Kings.
Okay.
But that was with
episode.
Aaron Harberts and Gretchen Berg. So
Okay. So maybe not as much him.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Because Context is for Kings is a good episode. And again, we want to come back to the fact that, from what I have heard, this was basically a draft. And if he had more time to polish this, it might have been a lot better.
Yep.
So don't, Craig Sweeney is not necessarily the Stuart Baird of this movie. We should talk about the other characters a little bit. I will say, Sam Richardson as Quasi was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's great. I want to see more of him.
And I think Casey Roll as Garrett was probably my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah. I thought they did a nice job with her. We have so little about her as it is that she's really a blank canvas, as long as whatever she does puts her in the position of being a captain who's, willing to sacrifice herself for the ship.
Right.
So having her be kind of a too straight-laced science officer who's got this, little bit of a chaos thing, I like that. I like that.
Well, I don't know. I talked to Amy about this, and I don't know. Amy agrees with you guys, like that she brought a lot to the film, but I disagree. I feel like her character was kind of wasted. I was all excited to learn so much more about Rachel Garrett and see Rachel Garrett really front and center, almost under Michelle Yeoh's character. I was like, wow, because they had her in Picard with that statue, and I'm like, wow, well, let's figure out why she was so important, why she was so great.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets just a couple of lines here and there and a couple of things to do, but this is not a Rachel Garrett story. So, I'm like, she wasn't important enough in this film. She could have been in anybody, and that bothers me because I would have liked to have seen her be a little bit more important than some of the other throwaway characters.
Yeah, that I can absolutely see. And I see, because we keep talking about looking at this movie almost like it's not Star Trek, and that's the thing. Like, if you ignore the fact that she is Rachel Garrett, I really like the character, if that helps.
And I think, but this is all in retrospect. I think if there was going to be one thing for the fans to tie into, one Star Trek element, because they were trying very hard to not make it Star Trek-y, if there was one thing to bring in your already built-in fan base, it would have been Rachel Garrett to anchor it in the Star Trek world. I think that could have easily been done. Right, you have the time.
And again, here's the place where, if it's a series, if we take this as a pilot and everybody else, everything else is going to get fleshed out over the course of the first season, then it's okay. But yeah. Yep. I thought Dada No was fun.
Well, if we get a sequel. The look on Mark's face.
No, it was the Dada No thing. I don't know. I had so many issues. As far as, with my issues with this film, hold on. With my issues with this film, so much of it had to do with, really bad makeup choices. No, I'm serious.
I do see where you're
Dada No character, the character that I think Chrissy liked that had all the mech stuff. I don't know. There's too much mech.
No, I said that the Delton was the one who was killed too soon. The mech was weird. I didn't like him. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's right. But the mech, all the mech characters, and then, sorry, spoiler alert, but the end of the film with Jimmy Lee Curtis and gluing some plastic, I don't know, Legos to her face. What the actual F word was happening here? that was, oh, I wanted to throw up. I was like, why do that? Why glue stuff on Jamie Lee Curtis's face?
Why is Jamie Lee Curtis in this at all?
What a waste.
Yes.
What a waste.
Oh, because, well, no, I mean, I think that is because she was in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I think
okay.
That
the
makes
relationship
sense.
between her and Michelle Yeoh is, I mean,
Which we covered on Cinema
Yes.
Z.
which we did cover. Listen to that episode,
Mhm.
listeners. But I think the relationship is a close one, I assume, at least from what I can tell
Seems
from
like,
social media.
yeah.
She's so supportive of Michelle Yeoh. So I can imagine that maybe, Michelle was like, hey, Jamie, you want to come over and do this bit real quick? And she was like, yeah, sure, I'll come over. I do love that Jamie Lee Curtis is now part of the Star Trek universe. Like,
Mhm.
I did too, but
Yeah.
why glue Legos to her face? I was so mad about the Legos on her face. That's all I can say. I was really mad about
Yeah.
it.
The thing is,
That's
is
all
like,
I could
what's
see.
control? What's control? And they I didn't like. I would have liked how they handled control in Discovery if I hadn't read the wonderful novels by, it was David Mack, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And they took like a third of that and then shit on the rest. So what is control? Is Jamie Lee Curtis?
I think David Mack felt the same way.
Yes. That's why I feel comfortable saying that, because I know he didn't do that to his own story. So like, is she an android? Is she a human who's been augmented? Is she, or not augmented, but
Maybe she has a
yeah,
dog,
altered-
tripped over the dog, and fell face first into some Legos. I mean, it could have
maybe those are just some Band-Aids, some Starfleet type, with those little things they stick on your face while they're trying to like monitor your biosigns and stuff, so maybe it's temporary. But
now, is it true that there's, going off of your what you're talking about in regards to the Section 31 books, from what I understand, there's a good chunk of Section 31, the film, that is taken from the books.
no.
Not as far as I know.
There's the story about San. Yeah, there is background about her being in love with San
Yes.
a little bit in the Giorgio book. That was like the second Strange New Worlds book to come out.
Yeah.
But that was not
Die
the
Standing.
rest.
Okay.
Die
That's
Standing, yeah, thank you.
It's a very good book. You should
But
read
no,
it.
it is. But no, the Section 31 books don't handle her. The Section 31 books are the universe that was destroyed by the Coda novels. So, having said that, we can take it as, well, that was an alternate universe and life goes on, but I don't like that.
I thought it was strange that like they set up, and she's like, have you ever heard of Turkana 4? Like,
It rang a bell in my head and I had to look it up, and I went,
it was
oh,
Tasha Yar's planet. Yeah.
Tasha Yar's home planet. And where the timing is, what about...
Which I thought was ironic, since I had thought it was Denise Crosby.
And I was going to bring that up, because that would have been a nice little, full circle kind of thing, but...
I feel like that may have been like part of what was gonna be in the show. Like the next episode was gonna be them going to Turkana 4 or something,
and run into like 5-year-old Tasha. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or Tasha's parents.
Right. Tasha's parents played by Denise Crosby or something. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then we find out that, like, the terrible war, that and the situation on that planet was something that Section 31 created.
Oh, yeah, that would.
And then we could talk about how Section 31 is actually bad. There is nothing in this dealing with the idea that what Section 31 does is bad.
Well, apparently Alex Kurtzman doesn't think it is, based on a recent interview.
CIA bootlicker. Okay.
Alex Kurtzman did an interview where he basically quotes Sloan from DS9 talking about how Section 31 is important to keep the good people's hands clean.
Fine, then have them do something that the good people couldn't do. and make that clear, because what we saw here could have been done by the Enterprise crew.
Yep.
Perfectly openly. This did not require a Section 31 op. It was a bad guy with a bomb. That's it.
Yep, basically.
Yeah.
And I wonder if in this case it was because the reason is just because George Zhu had worked for Section 31 in the past, so therefore, and they needed her because it was the bomb from, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, the people that Section 31 lost what it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
In DS9, there was no question that it was bad. We can argue the necessity of it. Okay. That is an argument that can be had, and that's part of it being thoughtful, and that's part of making Trek something that you think about and don't just watch. But there was not a question that they were underhand and they were, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but they weren't portrayed positively, no matter what else you say. Yeah.
I think something that always consistently bothers me, especially when it comes to Section 31 and Deep Space Nine specifically, is that Deep Space Nine itself continues to get mined for its storylines over and over again. And I know, Mark, and I know I say this all the time, but it's the truth.
No, it's not just you. It's like everybody is saying this. Everybody's saying this, but somehow nobody at Paramount is listening to literally everybody saying this. Oh, fuck.
It continues to get mined for all of its good storylines. You base Star Trek Discovery Season 5 based off of the Dominion War. Season 2 is based off of Section 31. We have a Lower Decks episode that revisits Deep Space Nine, and in my opinion, Lower Decks is the series that paid homage to Deep Space Nine the most. Season 3 of Picard is all about the fallout of the Changelings. Star Trek Into Darkness. Section 31. Malcolm Reed storyline in Enterprise. Section 31. You have done everything and taken everything from that show with a black man as a lead, and I'm sorry, I'm putting it out there, even though I know that we have Sonequa Martin Green as a black lead, you know, in another show, but you have this other show with this black man as a lead. You've taken everything from that show and you've done everything but give that show a follow-up, and it sticks out to me like a sore thumb all the time, and it is responsible.
Yeah, and they brought in so many Voyager cast members for Picard, and it was like, wait, what?
But you'll follow up with Voyager. You'll follow up with Janeway. You'll follow up. You'll even follow up with Enterprise in some respects. But okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
They've done a lot less with Enterprise than they've done with DS. They followed up with DS9.
But I hear what you're saying. The only thing I'll say is that is difficult to do when the lead no longer wants to be involved. And I know that within the storyline, you could do it without him. They did do it without him in Lower Decks. He's gone, so you don't need him. But at the same time, if you have Avery Brooks out there saying, I don't want anything to do with Star Trek ever again, it makes it difficult to argue to bring back everybody else. Yeah, well, and see, that's what I've been saying for a while. Is now Cirroc Lofton could play.
Have Cisco come back from the wormhole and played by Cirroc Lofton.
Yeah, that's easy. You know, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yep.
Yeah, I just have to play devil's advocate because I'm, wired that way. But yeah, I agree. Can you imagine? Look at the reaction that happened to the DS9 documentary. That ended up in theaters.
I saw it.
Well, with the Fathom event.
I got a poster.
Can you imagine what would happen if they did a DS9 movie? Can you imagine the reaction? That's what Paramount needed to put this money into. They could have even had her. They could have done a Section 31 movie on DS9 with Michelle Yeoh.
Wow.
They could have.
She could have gone back to any time period.
Right.
In fact, what I was kind of hoping for was her going back to the Enterprise time period and doing Section 31 stuff there.
I think the theory that I had when I heard that Rachel Garrett was going to be in the movie, and when I thought about what the Guardian did in regards to taking her to, at that point, not a very specific time period, I thought it was going to be some sort of weird mishmash of different characters from different Star Trek points in time, and somehow they all needed to come together to stop this great big threat. And so I think that's what I thought. But I thought maybe with all these different characters that would have popped up, I thought that Bashir would have been like the anchoring character, and he would have been like the Samuel Jackson, the Nick Fury of it all. I want to talk to you about joining Section 31. Like, I thought he would have been that.
I like that.
But that's just my fantasy, Which could have been really cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could have ended with Cirroc Lofton as Ben Sisko coming back from the wormhole.
We should talk some more about the plot. We're not going to cover the entire plot.
No.
Listeners, if you haven't watched this,
Watch
and
it.
you're listening to this, then you're too far gone already. But I guess watch it.
Okay. Be a completionist in this way. If you are a completionist in Trek, if you have seen every other episode of Trek, watch it for that. Take for that.
I've even pre-ordered the Blu-ray because I own all the others, so I need to add it to the collection.
Brandon, formerly of this podcast, said that he hated it. He's never going to watch it again, but because he's a completionist, he has the pre-order Blu-ray.
And Justin, formerly of this podcast, actually liked it.
Yeah, which astonished us, but that's a whole other thing. Yes. And that's good. So San has spent an entire lifetime and a half trying to figure out how to get back at Georgiou in a plan which apparently started with him doing the thing from The Princess Bride about dosing himself in poison and then faking his death. And then
never go up against the Sicilian when death is on the line.
Yeah, exactly. And then underwear gnomes. Step 2, step 3, profit. So we don't have a lot on that, but at least that's how I felt about that.
And it turns out that the little nanokin was a traitor all along.
Because people don't respect his people. Because the Federation doesn't respect his people because they're tiny. That was what I got out of that.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, you know what? The names that you were giving to your children, one of them was polio. If it actually is polio, I'm not respecting your. If your people are polio,
one of them was hemorrhagic fever. I mean,
yeah. So I'm like, are we saying that these people are viruses? Because if that's the case,
that was the implication I got. Yeah.
And I don't like the idea of sentient viruses. I don't want to go there. Although it would be nice if we could have a conversation with COVID and tell him to stop eating us. But, anyway. But so that felt like it had zero context.
Yeah. I don't know. The twist, though, I thought that was actually kind of neat, the twist.
Oh, yes. It was just
that he had gotten inside the mech guy's suit. Zeph. And made him...
I saw that coming. 200 miles away.
I didn't. On the second watch through, I'm like, oh, this is so obvious that was happening. Because, there was the part where the Vulcan's on autopilot, and he's just like, yes, I'd be happy to come. And it's like, that is doesn't sound anything like what he would normally say. But,
he actually sounded Vulcan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did. I thought it was a pretty neat little twist there. I enjoyed that.
Yes, I agree. And I thought it was fun that they brought the actor back with a different character.
With an even worse
At the
accent.
end. Yes. And putting what is ostensibly a female in a male body, and that's a whole other issue that I'm not going to get into.
So we're calling it an accent instead of gay voice? Is that where we're okay? Just checking.
Mark is
So
I heard gay voice.
What's
Anyway.
wild to me
Hey, Queen.
I think he's cute too.
They're not mutually
I think
exclusive.
That was
too.
not
It's okay,
wishful
Mark. I think he's cute
at all. He didn't look anything like David Ajala. I'm sorry. No, that was not David Ajala.
David Ajala told me I looked
I
good
missed
in a
something
kilt
here.
on the cruise last year.
Oh, there you
yeah,
go.
girl. Oof. I need to step up my kilt game, clearly.
Anyway, the actor is South African. So if they wanted him to have an accent, they could have just had him use his normal voice.
Yeah. I was wondering what his normal voice would be. So
I looked up a video of him talking, and yeah, it's a South African accent.
But
no, we have to. Oh.
Sorry, my gay voice gaydar, is that a separate gaydar from regular gaydar? Either way, it's not very good.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I really do think that the actor's voice would have worked for the character. I don't know what discussions were had creatively behind the scenes in terms of direction, but I don't know what the justification was for the accent. And I don't. Was there a justification?
I don't.
Any of it?
Again, the whole character confused me. It's not on the actor itself. I'm not.
It doesn't make sense.
Actor. It's just the character had so many layers to it. Why keep adding stuff to him?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. It didn't make sense. Like, the character didn't need to be crap. He could have just been a Vulcan with, like, an alien living inside his head. You know what I mean? Like, he could have just acted like a normal Vulcan, in which case I wouldn't have hated the character. But instead, they make him all wackadoo, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, he could have just been human.
I did like the idea before I realized that it was someone inside his body. I did like the idea of it being a Vulcan that lost his mind. That I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that actually would have been interesting to explore. That would have been
interesting, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, with time, it could have, who knows what we would have had we had the time to flesh these people out. But, looking at it now, maybe as well, maybe there was a little bit of trying too hard with this film. They could have been trying too hard. And that happens when you're under the gun.
I think I called him the poor man's Common, but was it Alok Shakar?
Alok, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, like,
I can actually see that. I can see where you're coming from.
No, because I watched Silo, and Common is in that, and it's a sci-fi show.
Oh, it's so good too.
It's so good, and Common's been in so many good, like, genre things that he would have been perfect for this. But when I saw this actor and I heard his voice, he sounds like Common. He kind of looks enough like Common. The beard and the shaved head. I don't know.
No, he's very talented.
Like, we can't afford Common, so let's get this guy.
No.
And I will say that actor, though, killed it. His character was one of the better characters. He was more believable. He didn't take me out of the film. I really liked his character. So the actor should get flowers.
Yeah.
Was it Omari Hardwick? That's the guy's name.
Yes.
He should totally get flowers because he was one of the characters that sort of redeemed this film up there with, obviously Michelle Yeoh. So kudos.
And I see him as, I mean, had this story had time that it needed, I see him as probably being like the Nick Fury of it all. I think that's who he was supposed to be.
I did actually like a little bit the scene when he and Giorgio think they're gonna die and they sort of lean their heads together. I liked that.
that relationship
Mhm.
I bought.
It seemed
I bought that
believable, yeah.
and that would have been very nice to see fully develop with the time that they probably really wanted to have. That would have been a good story to tell, a great story to tell, because they're both at odds a little bit, but one has something on the other in terms of, well, you did this, you know. But again, yeah.
They could have made something good out of this.
There were a lot of good ingredients in that cake.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't baked properly.
Yeah.
It was Rachel's trifle.
You should name the episode that.
We don't. This isn't Trek
If
FM.
we did funny titles, that we would, but we don't.
I think it would have been okay to leave this, like, it has been left open-ended in regards to them going off on more adventures at the end of the movie. But I think it would have been okay to, I don't know, maybe stretch out the first episode a little bit. You know, if you know what I mean?
I think if this had been the miniseries, this probably would have been a 2-part or possibly even 3-part.
3-part arc.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would rather have a well-told story that kind of leaves me on what, and no resolution, than them trying to tie it all together at once. And I mean, do you know what I mean? Because at least then I would get a full story of some kind. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because life you don't get all the answers with life either. You know, so you don't have to have all the answers at the end of a movie.
Well, I'm glad they didn't die.
Yeah. But I don't think we're going to get that sequel that tells us what happens on Turkana 4.
No, I don't think so either. Or, or they'll be brought back in
podcast form.
Yeah, whatever happened to that Nick Meyer Pond podcast?
You're welcome.
Here, come up and talk about this thing that you're going to do that, you are not prepared to talk about and we aren't actually going to do. Yeah. We have to fill some time.
But speaking of podcasts, I think we've probably said all that we can say on this movie. Does anyone else have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I do.
Okay.
So, I want to end with some positivity about this
All right.
production. Okay. So, I will say I liked the little device. I thought that was cool. The little phase thing. I liked this.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was.
I liked the design of it. It looked Star Trek-y to me. I thought that some of the costume choices and even some of the makeup choices, I know I complained about the makeup a lot, but the black and white alien, bringing him back, bringing that species back in an elevated, updated way was really cool. And I hope that if we have more live action Trek in the future, which hopefully we do, that they revisit that species again with the updated makeup, because it was phenomenal. And there was some great acting in this. Some of the actors they got for this were really good. So it wasn't all bad. Like I said at the beginning, there was a whole lot of ideas thrown into the blender. They hit puree. The ingredients were basically good, but the cake was not well baked. So watch it with that in mind. Watch an open mind. A lot of people, including Amy Nelson, who just watched it, I think for the second or third time on the big screen, she saw it on the big screen, said it was amazing on the big screen. So, it's worth, even if you watch it the first time you're not a big fan, try to revisit. Maybe it'll change your mind. Maybe not. But make your own opinion about this film.
Yeah. Well, that's always true. Yes.
Yes.
I also I like how those phasey the phasey thing also continued the tradition of in Star Trek, when you're out of phase you can go through walls but you don't fall through floors.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I did
Anyone
ask
else
that myself.
want to say anything more about this movie?
I do. I want to give flowers to the people that actually worked on the project, the director, the actors, the cinematographer, crew, Gersha Phillips, who I know did costumes from Discovery, everyone that worked on the project. I want to give everyone their flowers. Even the writers, I want to give everyone their flowers for working on something under probably an immense amount of pressure and not a lot of time. And I'm pretty sure not all the resources that you needed to have. I I have to say to the people that are making these decisions at the very top, that can control the amount of time and money that is given and all those things, I do believe that it is on you to do better so that you can give the people that are actually executing the decisions that are being made so that they can make a great piece of work. Because I'm not even going to I'm not putting it on Alex Kurtzman either. I'm really not. I think it is the people at the very top that are held responsible for things not panning out the way that they want them to. So I give all my love and applause to the people that worked on something and did the best that they could.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think everybody. I don't see this being phoned in by anybody,
Yeah.
even if it does end up being that they had to film a draft, because that was not what they intended to do. So they all did great. I mean, the thing looked phenomenal.
That space station was hot. I thought it was a
That
really
was
original
cool.
concept. I
Yeah.
loved like the nightclub sort of lounge area.
Mhm.
I could see myself hanging out there. If I was in the Star Trek universe, I would totally visit that station. I'd be like, oh, how much for the month? I need a vacation here.
All right. Yeah. No, absolutely. Chrissy, do you have any final thoughts?
Watch it at least twice. Give it a chance. It's not. It's the day after it came out. Like all the socials were just like, "Oh my god, this is the worst thing ever." And I'm guilty of some of that too. But it has its moments, and it's worth watching. It is worth it.
I mean, it's still better than Code of Honor.
Yeah.
No. If you guys title episodes, that should be the new title.
Yeah, if we did, that would be good. Mm.
I didn't like it. There were elements I liked. Overall, I didn't like it. I do rank it last on the list of Star Trek movies. I probably won't revisit it very often, but it could have been worse, I suppose.
Think about what you just said there. It's worse than it's not as bad as Code of Honor, right?
Yeah.
Context. If this had been a series, we'd have been like, you know what, the first season's a little but
Yeah.
wait until they get to season 2, or 3, and I think that's, you know what, that's it. I am pained by this for what it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't like it, because it makes me mad about what I could have seen, what they could have done, and instead they did this. And I think that's, that's just that just popped into my head like that. That's it. That's why I don't like it. Because it's representative of a lost opportunity.
And so often, that is the case with so many productions that really could have been something better. So often that's the case, is that it could have been something else, and you had almost you had no reason to not let it be great.
Yeah.
Besides some decision making that just, I mean, I can look at Star Trek Nemesis even, and we talk about this people talk about this all the time, but even Star Trek Nemesis, the scenes that were cut from Nemesis would have made that movie that much better and emotionally impactful.
Yeah.
Why hasn't that had a director's cut?
Because the director is the one that made that movie terrible.
And on that note...
So it's just, it's, this happens. It just happens in these productions. They just don't get the resources that they need. And then it ends up falling short. And it bothers me so much that, again, the people executing it are the people that get the flack when they're just working with what they had. I hate that happens.
And on that note, I think that's all we have to say. Mark, Matt, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can our listeners find you elsewhere? Do you have any work you want to mention?
Well, you can find both of us, obviously, on Cinema Z on this network. And if you haven't already, the new episode of Cinema Z dropped this week, actually, before this episode came out. Yes, it did. Absolutely. Anyway, you can also find me on Bluesky at MW207, where I share nothing political whatsoever. It is all dog pictures and hikes and art that I find and music. So if you're into any of those things, you can follow me there.
You can find me at 1701 BLERD on Instagram. Not sure how long I'm going to be on TikTok, on Threads, and on Bluesky, as well as Cinema Z. But on 1701 BLERD, I made a web series about someone that sees their life like a Star Trek episode. That's my venture into making my own stuff. It's been a very fun journey to write for myself, and I'm learning stuff along the way. So please check it out if you want to see someone live their life out like a Star Trek episode. Also, if you are in California, come to FanFest. There's a Star Trek attraction at Universal Studios, and I'm going to be in that. So come to that. You'll see someone with pointed ears.
Very cool. Nice. Awesome, Matt. Congrats.
Nice.
Chrissy, where can people find you when you're not digging through the trash for explosives?
I was going to ask you, where can people find you when you weren't rewiring a doll? So now I have to come up with something better. Or different. Right. So, yeah, in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on the BQN. We've been on a bit of a hiatus because of family stuff, but we're hoping that that's going to, that we're going to be able to get going again soon. And I'm also happy to chat about our shows in the BQN Collective on Facebook and in the Discord. And I'm on the various socials as the Goddess Livia. That's TheGoddessLivia, where you can see my opinions about Star Trek history and leftist politics, until they put me up on the wall. Oh, I have to have the gallows humor. Okay. Thad, where can people find you when you're not agonizing over which button to push on a board you can't read?
You can find me most often on Bluesky. I'm at Tyrannicus. That's TYRANICUS. I also use that name on other various places where I post less often. And you can hear me on the podcast I do with my friend Carl called License to Spiel. That's license spelled with a C like the British do it. Where we started out talking about the Bond films, ran out of those, and now talk about other things. We're currently going through Columbo.
So you'll be doing that for the next 10 years?
Probably.
Which is not a bad thing.
Every time we think we're done, there's just one more thing.
Exactly. Well, don't forget about all of our other great shows here on the BQN, not just the ones that we've mentioned and have people from here. Here's a recording of Amy to tell you all about them.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristen. Whether you've got Xbox or Nintendo, check out Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey and Mitch, self-proclaimed gamers who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. Grab your popcorn as you listen to Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out, hosted by Mark and Matt. Don your apron for The Food Replicator, where Matthew eats and drinks his way through Star Trek Cocktail and 3 cookbooks. Beam aboard Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Steven. In order to not repeat it, listen to History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissie and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissie and Thad. Curl up with a good book and delve into beta canon with Peter, host of the Trek Book Club on Twitter and Bluesky, and his companion Trek Book Club podcast. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey and MC. If you're a member of Starfleet Federation or Planetary Union, go check out Union Federation, covering current Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Head over to YouTube and watch The View Screen live on Sundays, your Trek-inspired talk show hosted by Calvin and Amy, with new 8-week seasons in the spring and fall. Spill the tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with an LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea Bev. And for our patron members, we have the Hive Mind with script readings and roundtable discussion, It's Green, a cornucopia of topics, and Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek. You can keep up with all of these shows by following the network at BQN Podcasts on Instagram and Bluesky. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Mark White for the awesome show art.
Hey, that's me!
Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
If you want to reach out, you can find the network on the socials at BQN Podcasts or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, and on our Discord server. When you next hear from us, it will probably be for the new season of Strange New Worlds, whenever that happens. Until then, we bid you peace and long life.
All right, any questions before we begin? Other than, why did Paramount make this?
You don't have to censor yourself on here, other than we try not to swear.
iTunes has already established that we are an explicit podcast, so it's fine.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, the fuck ship has sailed on this one.